Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a stack of sources here, but today we're really zoning in on one specific article. It's by Jay Tillotson on Techshift called How to Build an IT Budget That Drives Growth.
A really insightful piece.
Exactly. And our goal today is to kind of unpack the core ideas, the really important nuggets from this article about how IT budgeting is fundamentally changing.
Yeah, it's a big shift because the traditional view, and let's be honest, it's still common,
Oh, yeah.
is that the IT budget is just this back office thing, a cost center.
Right. Just keeping the lights on, make sure email works, servers are running, that sort of thing.
Pretty much. Basic maintenance.
But what Tillotson argues, and quite forcefully, is that that view is, well, it's just not good enough anymore. It's almost dangerous.
Definitely. The leaders today, the effective IT leaders, they're not just managing costs. They're building budgets that are actual strategic assets.
Strategic assets. I like that. So fuel for growth, driving innovation.
Exactly. Delivering real, measurable business value. That's the key. So this article, it really lays out a roadmap, a way to move from that old cost center thinking to seeing the budget as like a strategic investment portfolio.
Right. So we're aiming to give you that shortcut today, the essential takeaways from this source to help you rethink and maybe retool your own approach to IT budgeting.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the absolute foundational idea, the starting point in the article, seems to be challenging how we even define the IT budget.
Yes, it argues it's not just a list of expenses anymore. You know, the old way was very incremental.
Like, what did we spend last year plus maybe 3%?
Exactly. That
Yeah.
backward-looking view. Tillotson says you need to treat it like a portfolio of strategic investments.
A portfolio. So how does that work in practice?
Well, what's really interesting is the shift in how you classify the spending.
Okay.
Instead of just listing, hardware, software, salaries, the article suggests grouping spending by its business impact.
Business impact. Like what?
Think in terms of buckets, maybe run, grow, and transform.
Run, grow, transform. Okay.
Yeah. Run is basically keeping the lights on, maintenance, the essentials.
Got it.
Grow would be investments that expand what you already do, maybe enter adjacent markets, improve existing capabilities, and transform, well, that's the big stuff, funding totally new ways of doing business, maybe disruptive tech, new business models.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
It
It forces you to connect the dollars to the strategy.
precisely. You have to ask, what outcome is this driving?
The article mentioned that logistics company example, right? Where they use this classification.
Yes. By doing that, they could clearly show how spending on things like real-time tracking or predictive analytics wasn't just tech cost.
It fit into grow and transform.
Exactly. Directly supporting their move into new regions, it became investment-enabling market expansion.
Sure.
Much more powerful.
Okay, so you reclassify. What does that enable then?
Well, it opens the door to these crucial best practices the source highlights, like getting business stakeholders involved early.
So IT isn't working in a vacuum.
Right. You ensure the IT plans genuinely line up with the big picture goals. And, importantly, you build in regular reviews.
To adjust things, because priorities shift.
Absolutely. Business doesn't stand still, so the budget portfolio needs that agility.
Okay, so fundamental shift in viewing the budget. Then, the next big point Tillotson makes is anchoring it firmly to the overall business strategy.
This is huge. It can't be a separate exercise that IT just does on its own.
Right.
And it prompts a really important question for you, the listener. Are you just asking IT what tech they need? Or are you building the IT budget from the business objectives collaboratively?
That's a key distinction.
The article really stresses understanding those top-level goals first. Is it market entry, customer retention, efficiency gains, whatever it is?
Then you map technology investments directly to those goals.
Meticulously map them, yes.
Like that consumer goods company example.
Yeah.
They wanted a direct-to-consumer channel. Clear business goal.
Right, so IT didn't just say, we need servers. They worked with the business.
To prioritize the e-commerce platform, the marketing analytics, the customer data stuff, things specifically needed for that goal.
Exactly. And the result wasn't just systems deployed. It was a seamless customer experience that led to, what was it, a 25% jump in online sales?
Wow. Yeah, that's tangible value.
And that shows the power, as the source points out, of involving business leaders from the get-go, using tools like capability maps.
It's to see where tech can make the biggest difference.
Precisely. And actually trying to quantify the expected business outcomes up front. Revenue, cost savings, customer sat scores, whatever it might be.
Okay, so we've rethought the budget structure, we've anchored it to strategy. But strategy isn't just about doing current things better, is it? What about growth, innovation?
Ah, good point. And the article is very clear on this. Growth doesn't just magically appear from maintenance budgets.
You need to deliberately fund it.
Yes. Tillotson strongly recommends allocating a specific slice of the budget just for experimentation and innovation.
Like a dedicated fund.
Exactly. An innovation fund, or maybe a strategic initiatives fund. It's a best practice mentioned.
And not just vaguely, right? The source suggests a percentage.
Yeah, it does. Maybe 5%, 10%, perhaps more, depending on your industry and how ambitious you are strategically.
That healthcare provider example was interesting. They set aside, what, 12%?
12%, just for innovation. And look what it enabled.
They piloted things like remote patient monitoring, AI for health predictions.
Cutting-edge stuff. And it wasn't just tech for tech's sake. It led directly to an 18% drop in hospital readmissions.
That's huge. A win for patients and for costs.
It really underscores the need for structure, though. Not just throwing money at ideas, but using, like, stage gate processes.
To evaluate the pilots, see what works.
Right. Review at milestones, figure out what's promising, and then have a clear path to scale up the winners.
I'm getting ideas from everywhere, not just IT.
Absolutely. Cross-functional teams are key there.
Okay, this all sounds great, strategically aligned, innovation funded, but things change so fast. Tech changes, the market changes. What about rigidity?
That's the next critical piece the article tackles. Flexibility and resilience. A perfectly aligned budget is useless if it's set in stone for a year.
So goodbye annual fixed budget.
Pretty much. You need to move towards more agile budgeting. The financial services firm example in the source is perfect.
Oh, mind me.
They switched from annual to quarterly budget reviews.
Quarterly, okay.
And that agility allowed them to pivot really fast when they saw a sudden spike in cyber threats. They reallocated funds quickly to boost defenses.
Which they couldn't have done easily with a rigid annual plan.
Exactly. It protected customers, minimized risk, huge value in that flexibility.
So what are the practical ways to build that in? The article mentions contingency funds.
Yes, setting aside maybe 5–10% for the unexpected, that's one tactic. Also using rolling forecasts instead of static annual plans.
Rolling forecasts keeps
Yeah.
it more current.
Definitely. And, crucially, empowering IT leaders, giving them some authority to make tactical shifts within certain boundaries.
Without drowning in red tape.
Exactly. Trust and speed become really important.
We've talked a lot about the tech, the process, the money. But Tillotson makes a point about people too, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. Technology is just a tool at the end of the day. People drive the value.
So the budget needs to reflect that. Investment in people.
Non-negotiable, according to the source. You must budget for upskilling your current team, training on new tech, keeping your talent.
The sauce company example comes to mind. They had a shortage of cloud architects.
Spot on. Instead of just complaining, they invested. They built internal training programs, paid for certifications for their own people.
And did it pay off?
Big time. It actually accelerated their cloud migration project by 6 months.
6 months. That means faster product releases.
Better customer satisfaction because new services rolled out sooner. A direct return on that training investment.
So best practices, there are things like budgeting for continuous learning, supporting diversity.
Yes, diverse perspectives are vital. And also, this is often missed budgeting for change management and user adoption.
Because buying the tech is only half the battle.
If people aren't trained or willing to use it properly, you don't get the value. Simple as that.
Speaking of value,
Yeah.
proving it seems to be another major theme. It's not enough to just spend well, you have to show it.
You absolutely have to. The article really hammers this home. Implement rigorous ways to measure, optimize, and then communicate the outcomes.
So defining clear metrics right from the start.
Yes, and the source suggests a mix. You need leading indicators, things like system uptime, project delivery speed, the health of IT itself,
Okay.
but also lagging indicators, the ones tied directly to business results, revenue impact, customer satisfaction scores, efficiency gains.
That multinational retailer example with the dashboard.
Great illustration. They didn't just assume IT was helping. They built a dashboard tracking how IT initiatives directly correlated with store performance, online conversions.
Real-time data.
And having that clear data-driven proof let the CIO make a powerful case for more funding for future strategic work.
It flips the conversation from cost to investment-driving results.
Precisely. And it leads to that question for you. Are you just reporting IT activity tickets closed, projects done, or are you showing IT's contribution in business terms?
Terms the C-suite understands.
Exactly. And part of optimizing value means being honest about what's not working. sunsetting underperforming projects to free up resources.
Okay, makes sense. Now, something that can derail everything is security. How does that fit into a strategic budget?
The article's really firm on this. Cybersecurity and compliance aren't optional extras you bolt on later.
They have to be baked in from the start.
Non-negotiable integrated priorities. It's not just about buying some software. Funding for security needs to be part of the budget for all new projects.
Not treated as a separate silo.
Right. Think about that pharmaceutical company example. Expanding into new, highly regulated markets.
Big compliance risks there.
Huge. So they proactively boosted their cybersecurity budget specifically for that expansion, investing in advanced threat detection, automated compliance tools.
And that upfront investment paid off.
It smoothed their international growth path. Fewer audit problems, built trust with partners, regulators. It was strategic.
So budgeting for regular security assessments, penetration tests, that's key too.
Absolutely. Proactively finding vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. That's essential investment, not just cost.
Okay, so we've covered strategy, innovation, people, measurements, security. That's a lot to invest in. Where does the money actually come from? Especially if budgets are tight.
The million-dollar question. The source points clearly to two key levers for finding that money: automation and cloud computing.
For driving efficiency, freeing up funds.
Exactly. Automating routine manual IT tasks. That cuts labor costs, yes, but more importantly, it frees up your skilled people.
For more strategic work, the grow and transform stuff.
Precisely. And strategically using the cloud, its scalability, its services can often be way more cost-effective and agile than managing everything on-premise.
The university example, automating student enrollment.
Yeah, using cloud-based workflows. The efficiency gain wasn't just saved money.
It let them pivot resources.
Right. Their IT team could then rapidly develop new digital learning platforms when remote education demand suddenly surged. That was crucial.
So, automate repeatable tasks, use cloud smartly, but also track cloud spending carefully.
Critically important, cloud costs can spiral if you're not actively managing and optimizing them to ensure you're getting real value.
Okay, so let's try and zoom back out then, pull all these threads together from Jay Tillotson's article. What's the absolute core message here?
I think the fundamental shift, the big takeaway, is moving that IT budget perception from just cost control, just keeping things running.
Seeing it as a dynamic, strategic portfolio of investments.
Exactly, where every single dollar is intentionally aimed at delivering a specific, measurable business outcome.
Right.
And we've walked through those key pillars from the article to get there, really anchoring it to business strategy.
Allocating specific funds for innovation.
And building in that flexibility, that resilience.
Investing seriously in your people.
Rigorously measuring and communicating the actual business value.
Making cybersecurity and compliance foundational.
And then using automation and cloud to find efficiencies that fuel more strategic work.
It feels like Tillotson's core argument, based on this source, is that the difference between leaders and laggards now. It's not just about how much you spend on IT.
No, it's about how strategically you invest it. It's the intent, the alignment, the focus on value.
Which leads to that really critical question the source implicitly asks you, the listener, to consider.
Yeah. Is your IT budget today a living strategy for growth? Is it driving innovation? Or is it still mostly just that annual drill of controlling costs and keeping the lights on?
It's a tough question to answer honestly sometimes. It is. And that brings us to the final thought from the source, something really provocative to leave you with.
Go for it.
It's this. Today's IT budget is far more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a fundamental strategic tool. And when you build it with real intention, with transparency, with agility, the article argues it has the power to unlock new markets, to really accelerate innovation and build resilience against disruption.
That's a powerful statement about the potential impact.
It is. And the final line really puts it on the leader. Your role is to champion the strategic approach, making sure every single IT dollar delivers measurable business value back.